latency. There we go. Okay, wondrous. So this is going to be relatively short, relatively fast, relatively a lot of things. Hi, I'm Brian Swichkow. Today we are going to be doing several things at once, as per pretty usual. So I am writing this week's Journey to One, which is if you're unfamiliar. Journey to One is a newsletter. It's really like a letter. It's a weekly letter. It's not news. I was just considering renaming it, but it's a newsletter to friends that was based on Maria Popova of Brain Pickings' weekly email to 7 friends. I've been doing it for a while, 7 months, I guess. So here are the previous ones. Here's the one that we're working on. As you can see right here, it just says coming soon. There it is. So my process for writing these, if you see all these emojis here, right? So this is what we've named contextual augmentation. And so each of these little emojis goes into a memo. So for example, let's say Sunyata. So if you click on that one, it takes you here. And that is basically a description of Sunyata. But it also tells you, our hearts are bounded by it. So I found this in Morning Pages. That's the book that I read. This is partially from that book, and then partially from my brain, because I added this. And then now as I'm reading it for the first time since 10 days ago, 21st, a few days ago. It's now August 2nd, yeah, now that I'm rereading it. I am realizing that I should add this. I wrote about, Sunyata, yeah, that's correct spelling. Bounded by impermanence. A story, it's really my reflections of the transition, the energy transition of my romantic with the birthday girl. Cool. So basically, as I have a conversation, and you can see my manifestors log for August. My manifestors log is my public version of my private bullet journal, which I have sitting in front of me. So as I do this, essentially every time I'm tagging something, I'm going into that and kind of just making sure that it's updated or looking, rereading it. So I'm reflecting on what I've previously written every time I'm mentioning it. So it's kind of like talking about a friend and then updating your record. And in that process, you can see the modified date here of each of these memos. And so these were all modified today. Then it's 3 o'clock right now. I've been writing since 10ish. I've had 2 calls. Yeah, so this is pretty normal. This is things I think about on a daily basis. And you can, if people were on and chatting, if you have questions, you can ask questions about any of these, but they all, each one comes with a story as to where it came from and what it is, two things, and then also why I either edited or created it today. So I created a memo for Sutra today because I know of sutras, but I had not created a record for them. And in the process of creating a record for them, or for Sutra, I actually got to look up Sutra and look at the definition as it stands on Wikipedia, versus hearing it from my yoga teacher and just taking the conversation level thing and being yeah, I get that concept. I actually took the time to look at it. So now we are writing this, which usually is on my other screen. So I'm gonna bounce back and forth between here. Usually this is my research and this is my this is my research, this is my context, and then on my other screen is my writing. But today, since I'm showing the process of playing with language in public, I am going to just learn how to do command 1, command 2, command 1, command 2, command 1. Yeah, you get the point. All right, so this is the Ascent of Humanity. The Ascent of Humanity is a magical and fantastic book that we're basically using as a business plan for One Inc. Wrong one. The tagline. We are returning humanity to an original psychology of abundance at a higher order of complexity. That came directly from the Ascent of Humanity. The book can be a tad bit challenging to get through. It's very dense, and I would say if you're listening to the audiobook, like the first 12 hours are heavy on your heart. But if you have a support group, which you're welcome to use me or us, and you can get through it, it's a lot. It's helpful. It's a lot. It's a worthy read. But only in time will it be possible to convey how much value has been gained in so many ways from this book, in terms of like language that's created, in terms of clarity of the future, in terms of just so many different things. So chapter, it's also publicly available, because there's a chapter about copyright and how that's just not congruent with the future, and therefore it's publicly available. And I have done this lovely, it's a AOH. So I basically did a search site as a Google custom search. So if I type AOH and then type anything, so like Storyteller. So if I hear something in the audiobook and then I want to find the excerpt, then I can just do a Google search of the page. Well, I'm sorry, a DuckDuckGo search of the page, because DuckDuckGo. Different rant. Anyway, okay, Storyteller Consciousness. I'm going to grab right here. Storyteller Consciousness, awesome. That is not the correct one. Back. Fantastic. Okay, so here's what the Storyteller Consciousness is. Instead of describing a reality out there, a storyteller consciousness is being aware that we create reality with our story about it, a recognition that we are the authors of our own stories. As we use the storyteller consciousness, we begin, and this is an adapted version, I should say, yeah, after Charles Eisenstein. It's an adapted version. Most of this is from Charles Eisenstein, and you can see that. Yeah, so he says, let us call this a show. He created, I think. Anyway, I found about it from him, but yeah, that. So also we use we begin to disbelieve our labels. So here he said as we begin to disbelieve our labels. So I thought that was passive language, which is why I changed it. As we begin to disbelieve in our labels, and I'm like, well, if we're talking about being conscious of the stories that we tell, because the stories that we tell create the stories that we live, then we shouldn't say as we begin to disbelieve our labels. We should say we begin to disbelieve our labels, and. So it's kind of like a principle of stand-up comedy, is you say yes and instead of like but you're manifesting that future. So this is describing what the storyteller consciousness is. So now what I'm doing, and most likely will not do effectively on this while talking, is to create a story that brings my friends of resonance into the space. So the goal of the story, I would say, started off with, we are the authors of our own stories. This was, when I write, I duplicate the last email and then go from there. So, cool. Delete, great. All right, so story arc-wise, I usually will do an outline as I'm writing these. Let's go with... perspective. So What you see is me. What I see is you. What we don't see is us, the collective. True self? Yeah, we'll go with that. This is my notation on actually it's a tattoo that was on the chest of a girl at the cheese thing at the farmer's market. Vegan cheese. It's delicious. She's nice. Her name is Brooke. Anyway, we were talking about t-shirts and how like spiritual gangster is an assertion about what is inside the t-shirt, and the universe is a magical illusion and a fabulous game is an assertion of what's outside the t-shirt, the collective self. And in explaining that to you fine humans, I just realized how this email is supposed to start, which is with that story. Thank you. So John's gonna laugh when he sees this because this is all about externalizing thought. John, Nick, and I have found that we process through externalization. What's interesting is that I'm not getting any, at this present moment, any reflections from other humans in terms of like comments or murmurs, and yet that still happened. So, all right. So perspective. We're gonna go with thing. Okay, yeah. Thing. Action. Thing. Event. Event equals me creating Spiritual Bro t-shirt for Alan Watts' quote of universe is a magical game, magical illusion, and a magical illusion, yeah. I'm shorthanding this if you haven't noticed. All right, so event, realization, and then, okay, so I did that thing, event, part 2, birthday party. I think that builds into this. So I went to a birthday party where it was a lot of tech people, and I wore I think the first time I really wore the shirt out. Actually, to people, yeah, I wore it to a networking event. People were like, yeah, but I wore it to this birthday party, and 40 people at the party, 20 people came up to me at some point during the night and were like, that shirt's amazing. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of started asking, I was like, why am I getting so many compliments on this shirt? By comparison to the fact that just like spiritual gangster, I haven't found anyone that really lives that, at least not anymore. And I started to question why. Is it like, does apparel that demonstrates a philosophical idea like break at scale? Does it turn into wokeness based solely on how many are printed? I don't know. And so I started thinking about that, and the realization was that what happens on the inside of the shirt. I don't know. I like the what happens, but what I was actually meaning to say was is magical game is the name of the shirt because the magic and game are bolded on my shirt. I should go grab it, but I just washed it, so I can do that. The magical game shirt is speaking of what's outside. Cool. If you notice a lot of things randomly popping up like this, it's because I have a boatload of keyboard snippets, and I do a lot of them. I use Keyboard Maestro. Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of them. Different broadcast. Okay. Event. Oops. Realization. Reflection. That seems weird, and I will not call her Cheese Girl in the final publish, I swear. However, I did call her a drug dealer because this cheese is amazing. It's a vegan cheese. It's like cashew nut cheese, so good. And I've now bought cheese from her, I think every week for the last month. It's so good. It's probably a lot of fat. But anyway, I walked up to her on this past Tuesday and I was like, you're my drug dealer. And she goes, I used to do that. And I was like, me too. Wait, don't tell my parents. It was only once. I was not a good drug dealer. But anyway, I was like, should we make t-shirts that say former drug dealer? Anyway, so she has this tattoo, which I will go and try and figure out where she got the quote from, but it's like this. And she was like, I don't like shirts with text. And I was like, well, what's the difference between that and your tattoo? And she's like, fair point. And then we started talking about what you see. I think her tattoo is like, what you see is me. I think that's, let's see if I can find it. Edit numbers, WC. No, I'm not gonna remember it. Anyway, I'll figure out how to do that. Okay, cool. So, event part 2, realization, reflection, because I got the reflection from her, and then discovery / manifestation. I think it's just a manifestation. Manifestation is the do. Okay, so after that reflection, what's today? Today is Friday. I went to the farmer's market on Tuesday. I listened to, and I created the Storyteller consciousness. Yeah, holy crap, wow. So I talked to Brooke about her tattoo and this shirt on Tuesday when I went to the farmer's market, and then I came home and created this, which means that I must have manifested this chapter in the book, I mean, like an hour after I talked to Brooke. That's cool. Didn't realize that. Manifestation, storytelling. Okay, so now that we talked about this, I'm going to talk about the storyteller consciousness, but I'm not going to explain it in this order. I will probably... Yeah, say it's about the story we tell. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go that direction, and then manifestation in AOH. 1 hour later. Cool. And then kind of feel like this should be after that because that's explaining what this is. What you see is me. So this is about perspective, which is reflection on perspectives. And speaking of perspectives, we create from our perspective. From our perspectives. With our perspectives? From or with our perspectives, we create stories. Yeah, something like that. The only thing I don't like is that this is coming from Charles Eisenstein's explanation of this by using it before that. Problem solved. Mistake. I love this. Okay, so event and plus wearing to Mars B-Day party. Cool. It's just a realization. Yeah, reflection. Okay. Event slash catalyst. Catalyst, realization, reflection. Manifestation. And then... What happens after manifestation? Energy. Energy. Energy, energy, energy. I mean, I want to say action, and I kind of want to say, like, call... The marketer in me wants to say call to action, but I'm fighting that. Manifested something. Expression. Yes. Okay, so now that this has manifested, I'm going to express it, and I'm going to express it by telling the story that I choose to live. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Like that. A la what John and I just talked about, which is making space. Boom. Okay, and then making space is this. Magic. All right. Yeah. Yes. And if you're watching this, the thing that I will spoil for you is that, so we're going to go from event, catalyst, realization, reflection, manifestation, expression. The expression of the manifestation is telling the story that I want to live, a la making space for people, which is this over here, which is what John and I just talked about when he called me and we were like, yeah, making space for people. That's a whole different story. An epic one, which is... Mythos has made me really cognizant of tangents. There's a lot of them. Anywho's, watching the delay on my stream because the slow pan. Anyway, all right, manifestation, expression, telling the story I want to do, making space, and then the thing that I will spoil is that if you go back to the archive, I believe what is going to be written next week is the one ink becoming a oh, you can't see that because it's stuck below my video, but one ink emerging as a co-op for creativity, for a co-op for co-creativity. Yeah, co-op for consciousness. Yeah, I'm gonna go with boom. I like that a lot. Well, cool. I just wrote my weekly newsletter. I mean, with this outline, it should take me a joint in another 30 minutes, but I won't be able to do it while talking. So, on that note, hot damn, these are the things that I've modified so far today, and then yesterday, and then last Wednesday, and yeah. God, I love these days, where I have like more, more written. It's just, it feels like a full like expression of my brain space, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, if you have questions, let me know. If you're already in Citizens of One, then hit me up there. If you're not, then you can ask BrianBot. You can go to brian.bot, or you can message us through text at 310-455-8836. That is our phone number. Thank you so much for joining me on this stream and or watching it in the future. Well, my future, but you just watched it, because if you're hearing this, then you just watched it. And whether you're hearing this now, which you're not, because I'm the only one watching my stream, so you're hearing this in my version of later, you're now. We're like time traveling, so it's like it's challenging with the language thing, but you get the point. I'm saying, namaste, the light within me sees the light within you, and I will see the physical version of you, I'm sure, sometime soon. Ta-ta!